Hello and welcome to another weekly update. As you can see, I'm currently at the Microsoft campus in Redmond. I'm here all week. I'm at the MVP Summit. Can't really talk about too much about the MVP Summit other than to say, it's a collection of, all the MVPs get together and they get some time with the product team to talk through, what's coming and get their feedback. It's a good chance to interact and it's a good chance to talk, and to meet, in person, some of the kind of product team and understand, the vision and where things are going. A couple of interesting things to draw your attention to this week, though. So, following on from last week, my kind of series of blog posts concentrating on building a bot using QnAMaker and Azure Web App Bot. The final third part of that is now out. So if you've watched the other, read the blog post for the other two, you'll know that kind of part one covered the QnAMaker part, and part two covers the Azure Web App Bot part. Part three is really about tying those two things together into creating a working solution that you can use. So there's a blog post out about that, and I go into that detail about how you can do that, and then cover a little bit about the different channels you can push your bot out to. There's also a YouTube video that I've kind of talked about before, but it's linked to in that blog post as well. It's 10 minutes long, and I walk through that whole process, using screen share, so you can see that as well if you want. The other thing I pushed out this week was some sample code. So there's code in GitHub for this, and that is using that same QnAMaker stuff that I talked about in part one to build up your kind of key pair knowledge of information, but also taking that information but then using it in UCMA. Now that's interesting because you can't do some of the bot framework, some of the Azure Web App Bot stuff. You can't do that in Skype for Business on-premise. You can do it in Skype for Business online, but you can't do it in Skype for Business on-premise. So what are your options for on-premise? Well, really you need a UCMA bot to do that. And you can actually take a UCMA bot and then use the AI knowledge and the AI stuff from QnAMaker and wrap it around some UCMA code. And that's what I do in this blog post, and it's what the sample code covers. So the code is all in GitHub, so you can go and get it and try it out for yourself. And there's some screenshots of what that looks like as well in the blog post. The only other thing to draw your attention to, and I'm going to keep this one really quick, mostly because I'm having to do this standing up and my arms really hurt. The other thing to draw your attention to is, I talked about this a while ago, but I reposted it today because I just don't think people know about this, and I was talking to someone about it and they'd never heard about it, so I thought it was a really good opportunity to bring it up again. And that's using Presentation Translator, which is a PowerPoint add-in, and you can add it to your presentation, and it uses cognitive services, it uses speech transcription to provide like a closed captioning, like subtitles on your presentation that you're giving it, which is amazing and really interesting and really good as well. If you've got audiences that are hard of hearing, and you want to provide that kind of closed captioning service to them, you haven't got to pay someone, you haven't got to pay a stenographer to provide that as a service for you. The other interesting thing though is that if you are giving a talk or a presentation and some of the attendees are not natively the same language that you are, what Presentation Translator gives you is a URL and a QR code that your attendees can take, and they can load that up on their mobile phones, on their laptop, tablets or whatever, and they can see your transcription, but they can also have it translated into their own language. And any questions they ask, they can iron them back, and you can then see that in your native language. So I thought that was really interesting. It opens up some, amazing possibilities. It's built on, this decades of research that Microsoft have done in, artificial intelligence and machine learning. It builds on all of that. But makes it really easy to access and really easy to consume for you as a service just by this PowerPoint add-in. So if you haven't tried it out already, I definitely recommend you go and do that. Alright, I'll be back again as normal, same time next week, but probably from home, I imagine. Hopefully the snow will all have gone. It was a bit snowy in the UK when I left. It was a bit touch and go whether or not we'd get out here, but we're here now, and apparently all the snow's gone, so there shouldn't be any problems getting home. and I will speak to you again next week. Have a great week.